So now I pissed off all the Alabama fans. It's not what I do here. You failed Jalen Hurts. You failed that. You can't have a Super Bowl. Dude, here, understand something about this. I'm not backtracking on style of play and all that. All I'm saying to you is this. He's overcome every single thing that every quarterback you've ever had in your building has ever had. It might turn out that Jalen Hurts is the greatest quarterback since Namath that has come out of there. Oh, Stabler and Namath. Who's better? What Alabama quarterback has been better since Stabler and Namath? Richard Todd? No. Who? So now the Alabama fans are saying, how can you say Saban failed him? We won a national title game. Well, because here's why. Nick Saban's responsibility is not to develop Jalen Hurts into the best NFL player. It's to win games and make himself his money and all of his incentives at Alabama and to appease Bama fans, not to help Jalen Hurts. I don't give a shit what coach tells you that. You see, the difference between NFL coaches and college coaches, they lie to you, the college coaches. How can a coach make $12 million a year and honestly tell you he gives a shit about you? NFL coach, whether you're making $10 million or he's making 20, I'm getting paid for it. Now, it's changed a little bit now with nil, right? It's changed with nil now because the kids are starting to get paid. So all I'm saying to you is, think about that. So Jalen Hurts not only had an MVP season, his team's in the Super Bowl, and Nick Saban couldn't do shit with that guy. It took his job away from him because he wasn't accurate enough. Well, you should have coached him better. Nick Sirianni took an Alabama flunky. And I mean that only in verbiage, not in reality. You know what dude, they took Alvin Kamara had to leave the program and go to Tennessee. How many backs are better in the NFL than Alvin Kamara that came out of Alabama? Well, he had to transfer to Tennessee. Let me think. Derrick Henry. Who would you rather have? Derrick Henry. Who was the other guy that won the Heisman there, running back? Not Najee Harris. Najee's pretty good. Kid in Pittsburgh. Who's the guy that won the Heisman Trophy? Who's the guy that won the Heisman that played in Baltimore and in New Orleans? Yeah, Mark Ingram. Thank you very much, Mercy. Who's better, Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram? Alvin Kamara. Nick couldn't do shit with him either. Now, I'm not saying you're going to hit on all these guys. Chris goes this. They ran an offense that hurts the strengths in college and that they can win games running 90% of the time. Yeah, but they didn't win the game. He was beaten in the title game there. He was beaten in the title game. Yeah, Josh Jacobs is solid. He more than solid. He led the NFL in rushing. That's more than solid. I'll give it to you. I know. I just said that, Sean. He first started at Bama, and Saban said he can't play here anymore because they had too many backs, and they did. At least he was honest with him, and so he went to Tennessee, and he's a star in the NFL. All I'm saying to you is, so nobody brings that, because you know why nobody wants to say anything about Nick Saban because he's won all the national titles. Well, here's something that's a reality. And again, every time I say something, people get a little bit bent because I point out the truth. Saban was the worst coach. You want to hear something crazy? Okay. Saban was the worst coach in Jalen Hurts' career. Lincoln Riley was even better. At least they got to a semifinal with him. He did get to a national championship game. They got beat by Deshaun Watson's dudes. But Riley, he had more success because Riley put to his skill set, run the ball. Kind of the same offense that he ran in Oklahoma, they're kind of running in Philadelphia now. Lincoln Riley, here. The best coaches he's had is Sirianni and Steichen, Lincoln Riley, and the third is Saban. Oh, yeah, well, we had so much time. That's the point. Get this. Jalen Hurts had just as much talent around him at Alabama as he has at Philadelphia. Superstar wideouts, great O-line, spectacular running backs, great coordinators. They couldn't figure it out. Hey, by the way, that scenario played itself out at Ohio State with Joe Burrow. Who would have thought? Two cast-off quarterbacks are going to make $45 to $50 million and were drafted in the same draft and had to leave their respected places. Legendary programs. Do you understand when you transfer and I transferred, they're telling you to get the fuck out? Do you understand that? Get out. We want the scholarship for someone else. Hurtful. 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 Then you get a coach put his arm around you. Act decent, Sileo, and you can play at Miami here. You know what today is? It's official National Letter of Intent Day. It's one of the greatest days of my life. I officially became a Miami Hurricane today. Outside of my family, my kid, everything, that's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, a Miami Hurricane. I would think Jalen Hurts being a Philadelphia Eagles is the greatest thing ever happened to him outside of his family and loved ones. Yeah, right? Right, Will's father's probably the third best coach. Okay, probably. Maniac, you're right. Aunt Betty, sorry about the F-bomb. See? Maniac. Hey, Maniac, I got an idea. Do you think I should possibly do this? Maybe I should have a swear jar, put $1 in it, and then donate it. My aunt would say, use it on rent. Right? Get a swear jar. GT second contract sales. For who? Hurts? I care for your well-being, Sills. So don't worry. I'll get hammered. He took it on the chin and worked his ass off, Josh. He surely did, man. He surely did. Look, I know you guys. Look, this game's going to really tell me a lot about him even more. My whole entire perception could change on Jalen Hurts come February 12th. Because know this, guys. You can't be an MVP candidate, win a Super Bowl, and go like this. Well, the guy's a one-year wonder. You don't get to that kind of level, that kind of consistency, and that good, and are that good of a guy when you get out of bed in the morning. That guy doesn't come off like a bullshit artist to me. No? That's not an illusion. Smart. Watch this. This sounds so bad. Is he as athletic as Lamar? No. Is he smarter? Yes. Has he got the same kind of skill set as Lamar? Yes. Is he a better teammate than Lamar? Yes. Jalen playing hurt? Yes. Lamar won't. Well, Lamar doesn't have his money. Jalen does. So if Jalen Hurts goes out and shits the bed, and I get, hey, by the way, I get why you guys are protecting him when Dan says he played bad in the NFC title game. Because you don't want the impression out there that the Eagles will use that against him in negotiations. Guys, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. But since they won the game, that game, if he wins the Super Bowl and plays well in it, that NFC title game won't matter. Okay? That NFC title game. And I get it. I know why you protected him. No, I know why you came after me. Sills, you talk shit on him like that. You know the Eagles are going to use that against him. You know that. Yeah, but you can't deny that. As much as you don't want to hear it, you know that. Dude, this is a truth conversation we have. It's not personal. You know this. Hey, ENT goes, Sills, did you hear anything about the Eagles old lineman who got indicted? He's like some sort of like the 55th guy on the roster. I don't give a shit. Cut him, do whatever. I could care less. If it's a distraction to the team, cut him. If not, who cares? He has no impact on the team. It's troubling. It's not cool. Nobody wants to have a situation. Even if he's innocent, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. The reason I didn't bring it up, it's a non-starter for me. Only people in the media in Philadelphia will bring something like up to try to make it into something, and it's nothing. It's a nothing burger for you and me. Has no bearing on the game. Does that make the Eagles look bad? No. It's that kid. Because you know why? The Eagles have a tradition of not having shitheads on the team. If the Eagles were a team that hired 1,000 losers, then there's one thing to talk about. Okay, if you have Greg Hardy on your team, that's something else. They didn't know anything about this. It's nothing on them. Hey, man, you got 100 guys in a room. You think they're all going to be good dudes? Dude, get your bag. Get the hell out of here. Get out. I don't need it right now. I got a bunch of good dudes I'm taking to Glendale. You ain't it. Dude, cut the guy. I don't give a shit about him. What if he's innocent? I don't care. I don't want anybody involved in anything. Watch this. Sills, a guy got picked up for stealing sunglasses. I don't care. Make him run some laps. Rape? Got to stand for something in your locker room, boys. Nick Sirianni can't have a daughter like Taylor and sit there and think that's cool, even if he's innocent. I don't want any of that. Disrespect to women, elderly, and animals are out in my locker room. I don't care if you walk into a 7-Eleven and you use a banana to rob it, and the cops pull you over and say, did you use a banana to rob the 7-Eleven? Yeah, I'm going to try to figure out a way to keep you if you're worth it. If you're not, get out. I'm not having any of that. Disrespect to women, number one, a priority. Number one priority. And maybe I'm more sensitive to that because I have a daughter. Huss, I'll tell you this. I've already got a we got a bounty guy. What's his name? His name is, my wife knows it. It's something like Zito. He's a really cool dude. His name is Zito. Me and my wife already have it planned out. If somebody like says anything or does anything to my daughter, I will kill them. And they'll come and bail me out, I think. But I'm already prepared for that. You do anything to my daughter, I will take you out. You will think I'm a mafia hitman. You can't have that in your locker room. Because you know why? I don't want the rest of my players and my other 52 guys having to answer questions about it. What do you think about having a guy in your locker room that's accused of rape? I don't want those guys having to go home to their wives or girlfriends to have to answer that. Okay, I don't want them. And that makes me an accomplice if I have to lie and say, hey, it's cool. Hopefully we get the truth. And I don't, because I wouldn't answer like that. I'd say, I don't want that guy in my locker room. You got to stand for something or you'll fall for everything. There's got to be some parameters in your organization. Like, you guys say this. Hey, you guys say this to me all the time. Dan, how come you support Deshaun Watson then? Who said I support him? Well, you'd want to have him on your team. Well, because the league has him in. If you really wanted to make a stand on Deshaun Watson, you would have banned him for life. What did the NFL do? They gave him a raise, and they guaranteed $250 million, giving him the greatest contract in NFL history with 25 cases of sexual misconduct. That's not a me thing. The league compromised and put that guy back in the league. That guy should never play. Watch this. I'm probably not sure I've ever really landed here with this. That guy should never play football in the NFL ever again. He couldn't get a job at McDonald's. No disrespect to McDonald's. But you couldn't walk in there with 25 misconduct cases against you and get a job. Be a hostile work environment. Nor would I want to hire you. Lee's like, hey, we stand for, women's rights. You do? The face of non-women's rights is in Cleveland. It's in Cleveland. Can't, you got to have, you got to be somewhere in the conversation where surely you go, we got to bar him for life. 25 sexual misconduct? Come on, man. How can you sit there and honestly look at a woman fan and go, we really love, my wife, she watches football, but she don't watch as much because she thinks that kind of shit right there is a prime example of what's wrong with the NFL and how they have their players and how players have to eat that bullshit. That's why I say this. Lee let him in. Don't get mad at me for saying I'd want him on my team. The league paid him and gave him a raise. And esports goes, Sills, the entertainment industry is different. Of course it is. Here's the greatest example of that. Heath Ledger. This guy dies of an overdose. They celebrate him in Hollywood. Standing ovation. This kid goes up, gets the Oscar. This guy's a drug addict. Alex Rodriguez takes steroids. He's a viper. Bonds, a complete disgusting human being. Hate Bonds and A-Rod and all the steroid users, and they keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Heath Ledger dies of a drug overdose and is a drug addict, and they celebrate him and give him an Academy Award. Oh, I see. The athlete is the scumbag, but not Heath Ledger. He's gold to those idiots in Hollywood. I mean, right? You could be a drug addict in Hollywood and be a superstar. And people say you're, what is it? Unique or eccentric. When you're an athlete and does steroids to try to make a lot of money and play longer, you're a scumbag. Oh, okay. So as us 9-to-5 people do what we do. Hey, I get it, man. I do. Hey, NE Sports, I'm you, man. Hoss, I've made a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money. Okay? I've never changed. I'm still that dude from a little section in Connecticut where all these Italian people were raised, down in the water, down near the ocean. And I was raised by a fireman and an aunt and an uncle. 2 uncles, actually. Okay, that's what I was raised with. My wife, the same thing. Though we're not anybody. We're just trying to be somebody. My wife, the coolest thing about my wife and me, we've never wished we were anybody else. That's why I married her. She just never wanted to be anybody else but her. I like people like that. I don't dream about being anybody else. I like who I am.